Hey guys, it's Buka Harris with Team Breakfast Beer. A lot of people want to know how we got the name Team Breakfast Beer. Well, we'd fished tournaments for years, and every time we'd fish a tournament, we'd change our name, and we said we'd do that until we won one. We were never even on the leaderboard until this year. This year we fished 5 tournaments and came in first in 2 of them and second in 3 of them. And it was just a big year for us, going from never being on the leaderboard to top dogs. And I'd like to share a little bit about how we got to that point. I would say the main difference maker was the fact that we brought Glenn Wynn onto our team, because he brought a different dynamic where he fished different styles, fished different areas than us, and he's really good at redfish fishing, which that's where we usually fall short. And also, I would say the bait is our biggest thing. We threw a lot of artificials in our tournaments and tried to catch bait while we were on the water. I ended up getting a job at Hubbard's Marina catching all the bait, and that was a game changer for us. We like to throw pigfish, big white bait. Just going over how we catch that bait is half a day before the tournament, I set about 10 of these pinfish traps. With the pinfish traps, you want to make sure and get the galvanized one that has this funnel where they swim in, go straight up, and then they're going to swim around in a circle trying to find their way out, and they never will. You don't want to leave it for too long because the fish will get beat up in there hitting the sides. And you want to bait it with either a chum block, or you can use some thread fin. I like to use thread fins, threaded herring. They work pretty good. I pull the traps, deliver the pinfish to Hubbard's, take all the pigfish out for myself, and we load our live wells. And it's a lot of work that goes into winning one of these tournaments. They usually start at midnight and end around 4 o'clock the next afternoon. And we fish every hour of the tournament. So we'll pull up to a spot, throw our grunts out, and if it's not on fire, we'll wait through that whole entire tide before we change spots, because we know our fish are there and we know they're going to eat at some point during the tide. And we generally try to get our redfish and our snook done at night. That's the goal. If you wake up, if you come into the morning, the sun rises, and you have a good red and a good snook, you're looking at a good tournament. We usually get our red and our snook on grunts, and then after that, it's time to trout fish. And trout fishing, we like to hit flats. And most of the people pull up to some sand holes and throw their white bait there. This is where we switch gears to artificial. We'll find a good wind direction for a good flat that we can get a long 2-mile drift on, and usually one of us will be throwing a top water, one of us will be throwing hard suspending bait, and I like to be the one throwing something sinking, where I'll be throwing Mission Fishing Lure jig head 1/8 ounce on a Houdini Z-Man, the Minnow Z, and it's a deadly combination. You'll catch everything, eats these things. It's a good thing just to cover a lot of ground with. And between the 3 of us throwing those 3 different baits, we're able to hone in what's working. If the person on top water is catching all the big ones and the other people are catching small ones, we'll all switch to top water and just grade through our trout. A lot of times we'll get our good slam by 7, 8 in the morning where it's time to quit, but we never quit. At that point, we judge what's our weakest fish, and we're going to grind it out to the last possible minute of the tournament. And usually it doesn't pay off, but if you can up by 1/2 inch, that could be the difference between 5th place and 1st place. Some of those tournaments are that close where everybody's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch away from each other. And you don't want to get there and be like, man, if I had just gone and tried to get a bigger redfish, we could have won this. So that's a little bit about the work and intensity we fish these tournaments with.